We are live.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to our live show.
Just wait. We're not on yet, sir. You're like the surprise guest.
Right, yeah, we have a special show tonight.
Yes.
As you can see, we invited Jason back to help us out. But I'll let Karen take it away and introduce Ed and let us know what's going on.
We have our special guest, Jason Trost from Cryptovania, of course. And let's just give it a minute because nobody's on yet. So hopefully, I don't want to start without people being on. Let me bop over to Facebook and do my shares. And you and Jason talked amongst yourselves to introduce him to everybody since he is your special guest. And let me get this shared out to all the pages. He's out.
Jason's awesome. He's funny. He's easygoing. He's just somebody. If you see Jason at a party, latch on because he has stories.
He has stories to tell.
And fun. And interesting stuff. I mean, I've asked you a lot of questions, and you've given me a plethora of answers. You don't give me one answer. You give me like possibilities after possibilities, and I love it. You know, it's really you give me a lot to think about.
Well, that's what, thank you. That's what Cryptovania. That's why we created the Cryptovania, was to explore and have fun with that. In that whole, unknown and kind of knowns, and we love it, and it gives us a good outlet. It's good fun stuff, and you come home from work, you feel kind of frustrated, and this stuff is really fun. We're going to talk some Dogman tonight. I'm going to drop a little bit of the hint there, and that's one of my favorites. And if you're constantly looking for proof and video and stuff like that, then you end up leaving behind a lot of data that can really lend some credence to what you're looking at. And I think a lot of times people make a mistake, like they're trying to argue something in court rather than investigate something. And so if you're investigating, the most abused data out there is the spoken word and what people have experienced. And when you start listening to these stories, and when you put yourself in a position to listen to these stories, you start to notice patterns to them. And instead of picking apart and arguing about details, what you look for is the details that kind of corroborate each other. And you start looking for patterns that really show themselves to you, such as the difference between a Dogman sighting and a Bigfoot sighting. What's the difference between the two of them? And to me, it seems to be a deliberateness or a boldness to a Dogman sightings, where it's almost like they're very purposely presenting themselves and daring you to accept it or not, or to do anything about it. And it seems like one of the things that really, the similarities you will find in what people call Dogman stories is that boldness, and maybe not a threatening, but ominous and very, very confident and bold. Where with Bigfoot, most of the time it's furtive, it's glancing, you're not making direct, deliberate eye contact, or at least not very often. And you kind of lack the boldness there. And then you have like the physical attributes, like usually Bigfoot is longer hair and such, and Dogman usually isn't thought of as shaggy, usually kind of thought of as almost attractive. And so, but yeah, there's the little intro on Dogman.
Well,
That's
I
interesting.
did a little research on Dogman, and I found it very interesting that it was almost just all of the descriptions that I heard was almost a werewolf like appearance of the like it had dark silver hair, it was muscular, it walked on two legs, it jumped across the road from one side to the other. But all I could find was very, very rural instance of people seeing him. So when our special guest saw Dogman, or what we think might be Dogman, in a suburban area, it was, whoa, what is that? So without further ado, can we come on here, special guest, everyone. Our special guest is my husband, Edward.
Hello.
And this is Edward's first time on the show.
Welcome aboard, Ed.
He usually just tries to stay out of camera range when I'm doing my thing.
Right.
Edward saw something very strange in our backyard. And to give you a little bit of a background, we live in a suburb where all that separates my side door, or the side of my house, from the neighbor is the width of the driveway and about 3 feet of grass. So our houses are pretty close together. It's a typical, ranch house. We do have a very deep yard. I believe my yard is around 159 feet deep. So it's a pretty deep yard from the back of the house to the back of the yard. It's a very deep yard. And we have 6-foot wood privacy fence. So Ed, tell us your story.
Okay, here's how it started. I let the dog out, and about 20 minutes later, now we got a husky.
They know.
No, I said we do.
They know we have a husky.
Oh, okay. Okay, anyway, so I let her out. I figure 20 minutes went by. I go check on her. And about probably 160 feet from the dining room door by the patio to the end of the garage, I seen something against the fence standing up. Now,
did you say it was on all fours first? Or
no,
it was standing.
First,
okay,
no.
okay.
This is it had to be over 7 feet tall. It's higher than the fence.
Wow.
It's like, hey, just seeing something.
Seeing things.
I don't know. Ever since you started all these crystals and everything.
All right, stop.
Sure. So
my fault.
Okay. So anyway, I heck with it. I went back in the house. So about another 20 minutes, I go, I'll go get her, let her in the house. It was kind of cold out that night.
You left the dog out when
We left the dog out there. But the funny thing is that the dog was not even concerned.
The dog was just.
The dog was looking, but she wasn't.
The dog was looking right at the thing I'm seeing, and she wasn't barking or nothing. So anyway, I unhooked her and I brought her in the house. But before I brought her in the house, I'm holding on to her collar. I look back. This thing's walking on all fours from the fence to the garage, end of the garage. Then I don't know if it sensed me or what. It stood up and it was over 7 feet tall. It had a mane. Looked like a husky now. He had the black around the eyes, the nose, the mouth. And a big mane like a lion, though. And just kept looking. It wouldn't do nothing. I go, I'm going to go back there. I go, nah, I better not.
Better not.
I don't blame you. I don't think I would either. I've seen too many horror movies.
So anyway.
Now, this whole time, was the dog reacting at all?
What?
Huh?
Was the dog reacting at all?
No. Just stood up and looked at me. Kept looking at me.
No, but Enyo didn't react.
No.
She stared at it, but she didn't bark or do anything.
Or nothing. Usually dogs.
But Enyo's not a barker.
Yeah, she never was.
Our dog is not a barker. She howls. She doesn't bark.
Yeah. So we looked for about maybe 2-3 minutes. Nobody's saying nothing.
Well, I hope it wasn't talking to you. Then we do have a problem.
Yeah. So I just walked in the house with the dog. And then it was gone. No, that's
interesting.
This thing was big.
Did you look? Did you go back the next day in the morning and look for any footprints?
Yes, I did. There's nothing.
Oh wow.
It's interesting. My friend Tommy, who co-founder of Cryptovania, he had a kind of a similar kind of thing where he encountered a huge dog in the woods and he followed it. And when it came time to where he could actually see it, he was like, oh, it's just a dog in the woods and it's huge. And he ended up turning around and walking away. Oh, I just found a dog in the woods. And then when he got back to his car, he was like, wait a minute. What on earth was that? And it was almost like it comforted him.
Yeah.
This isn't something that you need to be worried about.
Right.
And he was like,
yeah, it didn't give him a menacing vibe at all.
Just kept looking on it.
But it looked like it's like, I see you looking at me.
Whatever it was, it didn't want to move and I didn't move.
But you also didn't seem terrified.
No. I didn't seem terrified.
That's interesting.
I wanted to investigate today. But I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't. Discretion being the better part of valor. And I just assumed, like he said, there's a lot of energy work that goes on in this house. So we do attract passersby who are attracted to the energy. And I chalked it up to that. But then when I told Katrina, she was like, oh my gosh, you got to call Jason. And then when you said Dog Man, I started doing research and I'm like, this is odd that he's in the backyard of a suburban house. But maybe like everything else, we're encroaching on their territory so much.
Well, that's just it too.
I kind of disagree with the fact that I disagree with the it's that it's a mostly rural thing. I mean, usually you don't think of it as quite suburban, but it's usually like here where we're at. You wouldn't call this wild country at all.
No, not at all.
I guess you kind of would. And we get a lot of Dogman sightings. Like the ones that happened in Wisconsin that Linda Godfrey ended up investigating back in the 70s and 80s, and it kind of launched her into the paranormal world because I think she was just a newspaper reporter then. Those were kind of semi-urban. They weren't very deep into the woods kind of thing. And I kind of wonder if there isn't some kind of tie between the Dogman and like burial mounds and stuff like that.
I've heard that.
And I know that like here in PA, like right in Hightown, we have a very prominent mound that has been excavated and studied. And it actually also has a modern era cemetery right on top of it too, which is a weird mixture of pasts there. And it's right in Hightown, and it's got like Civil War era graves on it that still get decorated on Veterans Day. The men buried there were veterans of the Civil War, and that's right on top of the Dogman or on top of the burial mound there. And we get lots of Dogman sightings around here. And when I did some studying, I'm like, oh, well, it must be because we have mounds. And then I was looking, well, the mounds that are here also were part of a huge network that stretched from like New Jersey up into Michigan of mounds and pyramids and structures like that. And it could well be that where you guys are at, your neighborhood could be have been a mound source in the past, if there isn't one there now or within the area. And that's kind of always been a big theory of mine, is that Dogman is kind of like the the Egyptian, I think, is it a Nuki or something like that? They were like very tall,
Anubis.
dog-like.
Anubis?
Yes, Anubis.
Yeah.
I think that is what it is.
Yeah, Anubis.
And they were very tall and dog-like.
Dog face, but human body.
Yeah, and kind of sleek and muscular. You know, that kind of seems to me like not very far off from your description of what you looked at just, the other day.
How come all of a sudden this would happen though?
You just never know. He might have been here before and we didn't see him.
Yeah.
You know,
it's really hard to
animal
say.
cemetery count? You hush, Jelly. There is not a pet cemetery in my backyard.
Pet cemetery.
You never know.
You never know.
Are you in the,
There are multiple animals buried in my backyard, yes. But we're in Ohio, outside of Cleveland. Huh? What, Jason?
Are you in the path of totality?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you in the path of totality?
Yes, we are.
Maybe things are a little stirred up energy-wise too. You know what I mean? It could very well be that we look back and find that there was lots and lots of people that were having encounters right now in this lead up. Even if there's not a major event coming, you could easily imagine energies stirring things up.
Absolutely.
And it's hard to say. And it could be that, I don't know. I don't know, honestly.
There's more questions than answers, Jason.
Yeah, why now is that's a hard one to answer.
See, when this thing was looking at me, it didn't say no BS. Well, I mean, we kept looking at each other.
It had that arrogance you talked about, Jason.
Who's going to make the first move?
Yeah, bold, very bold.
Very.
Which kind of also is similar to the stories of Anubis being warriors that were protecting. There's like there is that bold confidence that seems to really be a very common thread that runs through there. Around here, we actually have a couple of stories of them wearing red flannel. Oh. We have yes. And one was a road crossing, and he had a very good look and wearing a flannel shirt, which is really kind of yeah. But once you accept that, well, there's a dog man wearing a flannel shirt. I mean, is that the bridge too far?
You know what? With all the weird shit that we've seen, we're really not in any position to think that anything isn't possible.
Oh, so this could happen again.
That could happen
again.
Next time,
yeah, absolutely.
If it was me, I would call it to you.
Yeah, you'd be like, "Here, kitty."
We just had there was just a sighting on the bridge in Oil City here.
Yeah,
over by
I heard that.
Yeah, and it was somebody had posted it on Facebook, and it was some kind of weird dog-like thing, and so I got on that. And I got onto my AI generator, and a funny thing about that is, and I don't know where it gets its information and all that, and it's far from proof, but it is conversation that whenever I prompt it into making dogman images, almost invariably they have clothes. Where Bigfoot and Sasquatch and stuff like that, like even just a jacket, it's weird. But invariably, I get images back because I make like 9 or 16 of them at a time, depending on how much credit I have at the time. And that's again, you look for those patterns, and AI, at least the AI generator I use, seems to think that Dogman usually wears clothes.
But would that be reminiscent of the werewolf genre of things? And it's funny because the research that I did, which was very limited, I Googled it and read a couple of articles about Dogman in Ohio, and he was always described as a 6 or 7 or 8 feet tall, standing on hind legs, silvery, longish fur. And maybe it was my brain, because my brain got an image of a werewolf-like creature. There were no pictures. This was all in my head. So, you know, who knows if it's real or not. But it was like almost like a werewolf, but not like the, you know, I'm going to kill you, Michael Jackson werewolf. The same Thriller. And just, you know, I pictured, you know, that they said he ran out of a cornfield and leaped from one side of the road to the other. And in my mind's eye, I'm seeing this. And it's weird.
Yeah, it really is, and it's totally different than a Bigfoot sighting. And one of you should find that, look up that Linda Godfrey. And I think it was The Beast of Bray Road was what that was.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, I have a book on that. I probably heard by her. Yeah, I have it.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
And then she also put forth some stuff about the vibrant, maybe that and them and Bigfoot using like vibrations to camouflage themselves and to make themselves harder to detect, and that's why there's trouble photographing them and such. And she was one of the first people to introduce the Bigfoot world to those theories of vibrations and such as being some kind of maybe cloaking ability. She's really good stuff. Unfortunately, she passed a year or two ago. But she's just a wonderful, a great writer, and a filmmaker. She also did I think her last movie was about lions in Wisconsin and Michigan and stuff, and across the eastern United States. Yeah. Really one of my all-time favorites. But she was a newspaper writer, and she heard about somebody having an encounter on a Bray Road, and just kind of launched herself into the paranormal world, and good stuff there. Good stuff.
Yeah, and backtracking for just a second, I'm from down in southern Ohio, and there's a town called Newark.
It's more country,
and it's very. I mean, you leave like outside, you go like 20 minutes from me. You're in corn country, in Ohio, and I grew up in a place called Newark, Ohio, and they had a place called Mound Builders Park, which was a lot of Indian mounds down there. And I am certain that they are, there's a network of them that came up north, but they've just been destroyed or just lost to history. But I think that this area has always been really active for us.
I think even somewhere between where you're at now and where you grew up, there's the location of what's supposed to be the largest pyramid on this side of Mexico, and they destroyed it to build a lake there, and I can't for the life of me remember what it's called, but I can find it and post it in the group. It's really interesting. It's like the biggest. It was a huge pyramid that was there, and so you start to get into pyramids and Anubis and Dogman and burial mounds, and eclipses, and maybe it's a wonder we're not seeing. Maybe we're not seeing. Maybe we should be seeing more. But it's very interesting about that. Whatever culture was building those mounds and pyramids, we don't know very much about. And that could be where a lot of our answers are, for a lot of these questions.
That's true. Never really gave it a lot of thought beyond just, why is it so active around here? What is going, Katrina knows. My yard is just a hotbed of weird shit.
Just a couple of days, the dog was chained up by the garage, which is about 30 feet away from the dining room. I had to go out to get her. And I see her just standing there. She's on all fours, just looking at the corner of the patio, which is right by me, about 15 feet away. just kept looking, but she wouldn't bark or nothing.
She doesn't bark.
No. And then I got her, brought her in. That was it.
And you swore last week that there was something sitting by the front tire of my car.
Oh,
and I'm looking out the window. It's pitch black. There's no moon, nothing. He's like, don't you see it? And I'm like, dude, I see darkness. That's it. So he's like, I'm afraid that we have touched him. It is coming on again. He's one of us now. One of us.
That's pretty funny. That's kind of reminiscent of my friend Tommy that we started Cryptovania with, because when we first started, he was very strict about staying away from what you would call the paranormal, the spiritual side of things, you know, and the ghost side. And he's kind of been dragged kind of kicking and screaming down these rabbit holes.
I've done that to him. He's like, I don't believe in that stuff. But you know what I just saw? He has seen a full body apparition in the house. He has seen a small child peeking around the corner. He even actually told me where a portal was in the house that I didn't know was there. My house is just, I must be on there must be like a network of ley lines under my property that is just, like I said, a hotbed for activity. There's always something weird happening here.
Yeah. Good. Well, I guess we're starting to answer why now. Why not? Why not now?
Why not now? Exactly. It's time, Ed.
You should get a Ring camera, stick it out back there, and see.
You're right. I've been thinking about it, but that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get a Ring camera for out back.
You should talk to the neighbor. It's something weird, but maybe someone else saw this too. I mean, he's just roaming around. God knows the people or other people's Ring camera may have caught something weird.
Yeah,
we don't need the neighbors knowing how weird we are, Katrina. They're not that accepting around here, okay? We don't want to advertise the circus going on over here.
Sometimes when we have people that are having unpleasant experiences, we tell them to put up cameras because it seems like maybe it stops things, because some things don't want to show up on those cameras. And, you know, if you're looking to stop things, that might be the way to go. Is to put up a camera.
I like the weird. Come on. Except the bad weird.
What would attract Dogman? Like, if you wanted another sighting, or if you wanted, what could you? Because like with Bigfoot, there's things you can do to attract Bigfoot. So what can you do to attract Dogman?
I don't know, honestly, and it seems like I don't know of any time, any of the stories that I've ever heard about Dogman. It's not like they were out looking for him.
Right.
Where you have a lot of that with Bigfoot, you know, and I don't know how you bait in. I don't know how you bait in Dogman.
Like Harry Potter.
That's kind of an interesting question. You know what I mean?
Well, we have quite a bit of wildlife in my yard now. The wildlife has returned. We had a situation, but it was taken care of. But we have like a fat ass groundhog that lives under our shed, and she had babies. So there's squirrels. There's a whole lot of dinner running around our backyard.
See if they're still there.
I know, that's my concern. I'm like, are they still there? We did have what did we have? That we, of course, we have squirrels and things like that. And you know what's really weird? There was a bird nest. This might have nothing to do with this, but this is so odd. If you you know, like the motion lights that you would have over your garage door, up near the peak of your garage roof. We've had a bird nest there for probably 10 years. 10 years that bird nest has been there, and it gets bigger every year, and they come back every year. And we found it on the ground the other day.
Yeah, we've done it.
And I'm like, that's really odd. Was something like, you know, looking for something to eat? I don't know. No, I didn't. It out of the way, and it's gone. Like I said, I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but I just thought that was odd. That bird would get knocked down after. I mean, it was like Fort Knox. It was on the ground and it was still whole. It was solid. Yeah. I mean, it was crazy. It was woven. It was like a solid bird nest.
Seeing that. Yeah.
So I don't
That's
know.
kind of odd.
I don't know. That is odd. I mean, if you're 7 feet tall, you could probably reach up and
knock it down.
Knock it down. Yeah. And we have 6-foot privacy fence, and we've had deer in our backyard. We had a big buck in there not too long, a few months ago. Yeah. So they just like roll in and out. I don't know.
Well, you know, if I've always wondered if like with Dogman and Bigfoot and all these things, if maybe we're the kind of the bait. Like people like often think that you have to go deep into the woods to go find things, but it kind of seems like they kind of like to come to us for some reason, whether it's curiosity or what. But it does seem when I first started doing this, and I kind of just assumed that there was maybe a few scattered Bigfoot, and then I started really getting into the suburban Bigfoot phenomenon, and that's been one of my favorites. And we've gotten to do a few interviews based where that was the main subject is the suburban Bigfoot, and it is kind of one of my favorites. But I've never, but it does go back to that. How do you get a second one? How do you get a second sighting? How do you bait them in?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I think it was. I mean, he didn't feel any like menace. I think it was curiosity. I really do. There's a lot of energy. Like we have this addition on the back of the house. Will you give me some ginger ale? Excuse me, I'm choking.
You all right?
Yeah.
Arms up.
Arms up.
Anything for ratings.
Yeah, anything for ratings. We'll have a death on the show. Yeah.
She's gonna fake a death.
Tune in next week to see if Karen's spirit rises.
She makes it. Yeah. No, next week we'll be with Karen's spirit.
Yes. Karen's spirit will be joining us as our special guest. But there's so much energy. We have like an addition on the back of the house that is my office / workspace. So a whole lot of energy work. There's thousands of crystals in that space, literally thousands. And, it could be that the energy just caught his interest, because I'm sure they're very sensitive to energy. So it could be that, he might come back. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, it's just kind of super interesting. Like now that you've seen it, will you going to be on the lookout for it?
I'm upset. I want him to come back.
Right? Yeah, he got the experience. Yeah.
It does. It raises a curiosity. Like I remember the very first time I went to visit Katrina, and I was still very not as open as I am, and I could feel spirits, but I couldn't see them. And I remember I said, "Hey, where's your bathroom?" And she's like, "Oh, it's down at the end of the hall." And right before the bathroom, I walked through this wall of cold static electricity. So I go to the bathroom, I come back out, and I walk up, and I'm like, who did I just walk through in your hallway? Because I just walked through someone. She's like, "Oh, it's my grandfather. Don't worry about it." So yeah, it's always like, it didn't happen again. He went in the other room and he wasn't apparently to know that he was there. But it's funny because once you do have an experience of any sort, you're like, when's the next one going to be? I want to do this again. I guess proof. I don't know. I want to know that I didn't imagine that kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's understandable.
That's
yes. I honestly have.
Forest.
Huh? Cook's Forest.
Like when I go to Cook's Forest, well, I saw Bigfoot there like 7 years ago, and so every year we go back, I look for him. you know, right where I saw him. And I will look every time we go through.
One of these days he's going to be waiting.
About 7 years.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't seen him since. You know,
have you seen him at Miller Farm?
We've heard him.
We heard him.
Oh
yeah.
How long of a glance at, or glimpse did you have at your Bigfoot 7 years ago?
I saw the whole, like the back of him, like his head down to his shoulder. He was running sideways. He was just kind of, you know, running. But I caught the top in his shoulder, glimpse of him. Because I was climbing up to the top of the ridge on this one hiking trail. And this is back when I used to hike up those big, Cook's Forest. And I was my husband was behind me. And I'm going up, and I'm almost to the crest. And all of a sudden, I just looked, and I see this thing run right across. And I turned around, and I go, I just saw Bigfoot. I ran up there because I wanted to see him.
Yeah. Other people run away. We're running towards it.
I'm running towards it. I'm like, puss, 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 puss. So I'm running up there. I got cookie. Puss, puss, got a treat for you. And it was gone. There was nothing. Well, I could see the woods, and there was ferns, and and it wasn't a bear because it would still be there. And we heard nothing, but we smelt it. It smelled like rotten meat.
That's what they say. It's like, yeah.
I heard it smells like rotten cucumbers.
It was pungent and even my husband smelled it because he's like, he didn't see it, but we both smelled it, and that wafted in the air for a couple minutes.
Wow.
So, and it was.
I really like that Cook's Forest area too. We spend a lot of time up there around Bowinkle, and Marionville has that Bigfoot festival, and we like to go to that. That's some fun country over there, and that's really cool.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was.
Well, yeah, you guys. I absolutely want to come and do that with you guys and see, because I've not been to Cook's Forest, or a Bigfoot festival. So that sounds like loads of fun.
That's a very good festival that they put on there. They've been doing it for, I think this will be the 4th year, and they do a really good job of putting it on. There's a lot of good vendors and craft vendors and stuff, and a lot of good food. That's a good. It's a good festival. Those guys do good work over there.
I wonder if I can get little Bigfoot figurines made.
Oh, sure.
That would be awesome.
I bet. Yeah. There was definitely rock and glass sculptors there.
Right.
Yes, there definitely was last year. That's they do a good job at that. I'm really impressed with that place, and like even like their porta potties. There's lots of them, and they're very big and clean, and like they just do a good job. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, and I think that's in July. I think it's like in mid-July.
You'll have to send me the thing on that. I've seen it advertised, but you have to send me, and then we can plan a trip.
Yeah. How far away? Where is it?
In there.
That is.
It's not very far.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably it's about 40 minutes from either one of us.
Yeah, you're a quick 2-hour drive, babe. I'm there.
It's not far from here. So, but yeah, it's a pretty place. Like I said, Cook's Forest looks like the woods of Washington State. It's just spectacular. Yeah. Huge pines.
And I know they have like cabins and things, and they have events and stuff. Because I know that
very busy place. It's beautiful.
AA does a big retreat there at least once, maybe twice a year. So I know a lot of people that have been there, and I've heard a lot about it. And they've actually been there when I was visiting you, and I was like, "Oh, I'll be right down the road."
That's cool. That is very cool. It's a really beautiful place with a lot of well managed woods too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Both
I'm
my
out of
son's
shape, you know?
headphones, and they keep popping out on. I
Oh.
wonder if I have them in the wrong ear.
Maybe. That's always a possibility.
Is that better, Jason?
I think that's what they've just been alternate. They like fall out. And I'm going and
I've
I'm
done that.
pressing
It's like,
things.
why
I'm
don't
like,
these
oh,
stay
geez. I was just giving him a hard time a bit ago. Make these work. Before we got on, I was about 5 minutes from getting on, and I was trying a couple of different things, and I was like, "You got to make these work." And yeah.
So I know
Thank
that
God for the young kids.
Jason, there is the discussion, the theory that Bigfoot is an interdimensional being. And do you also do paranormal stuff, right? Do you also do like ghost hunts and stuff like that?
I don't really participate in them just because I don't get a lot of opportunity.
Okay.
But I don't ignore them in my data wrangling.
Okay. My question was, do you find that do you think that the reason that it's so difficult to get a picture of Bigfoot, not only the fact that they stay away from people, is that they're interfering with electromagnetic fields and they're messing up equipment. They're drawing the energy from batteries. Do you see that happening?
Absolutely, I absolutely am a believer in that. And I don't know if it's like you say electromagnetic fields, if it's vibration, if it's interdimensionality, but there's some kind of very definite science that's we're not very well aware of. That I think is at play. And it might be a combination of all three of those, but there's something like static about them. And it's kind of like when you look at a film, especially the old reels of film, and I think there was 60 frames per second. And you can put something in and maybe just have it at 1 frame per second in there, and your eye doesn't see it, but your brain picks it up.
Right.
And then as you increase that up, pretty soon, if you have it at like 10 or 12, it's kind of in and out of, and I kind of wonder if that's kind of how the science behind their deception works. If there's some kind of layering or vibration there that they're able to manipulate. And I definitely believe that that's why they're so difficult. Another thing that I give credence to for camouflaging is what's called the Heiligenschein effect, which is where on polar bears, for instance, when light passes through their hollow guard hairs, it gets refracted and creates a glare. And like underneath a polar bear's skin, they're actually black, but because of the glare going through that, and it's called the Heiligenschein. And I've kind of also wondered if that isn't, there's a couple of good researchers that have, put that out. And one of my favorites is Jonathan Lackey. He had some hollow guard hairs, and he was able to shine sunlight through it, and it creates this like almost like the welding slag, that bright, that bright flash of light. And so, you wonder if all of these things are at play and possibilities. I see the Heiligenschein as maybe an explanation for if it's a physical being that's not messing with vibrations and quantum layers. But yeah, I definitely think that there's something there. There's some kind of resonance that they're able to manipulate. And I kind of also wonder if it's the same thing for ghosts, even if that's kind of the same kind of tools that they're using, ghosts and spirits, is, manipulating. And I don't know where else they are when they're partway here. Does that mean they're partway somewhere else? That gets kind of deep and way too intelligent for me.
More questions than answers, Jason.
Yeah. because like if something is here, kind of where else is it? And you start getting into, are there alternate, planes? And those
That's what they say.
those are some
No body. This is soul.
Mhm,
Also.
mhm. Yeah, that's that is is that metaphysical? Has it been science all along?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting questions.
There
Yeah.
again, more questions and answers. And it's funny because,
Mhm.
we hear, the stories of, and obviously seeing the people trying to film Bigfoot and, the theories of why it's not possible. But Dogman, basically, it's just been, well, from what I can read, is either he's too fast, like, boom, he's here, he's gone in the darkness, or abject fear.
Mhm.
Nobody is sticking around long enough to take this guy's photo because it's terrifying.
He's dogging me.
Yeah. Or it could be just the opposite, that they have a way of, kind of like the Jedi mind trick. You don't need to take a picture of this.
You don't see.
These aren't
the droids.
Yeah. I mean, it's your natural inclination. If I come across a 7-foot being in my yard, I'm gonna be frightened.
Yeah.
And the fact that you weren't, it makes you wonder, like there's like an ultrasound type, or the when they pitch something out, like, what is, I can't remember exactly what that's called.
They send out this vibe.
Infrasound.
Yeah.
Yeah, infrasound, right.
Yeah.
And it maybe sometimes you can use it as a defense, where it makes you terrified and you leave, or it's the exact opposite and it reassures you, almost like an anesthetic. This is all fine. Yeah, my friend, when he was out in the woods and he saw that big dog, he was after it and he was going to shoot it, and then he saw it was a dog and it's just in the woods, and he put his gun back in, and he went, and
that's him.
Was a perfect.
He's like, I'm going to go get my gun, and I'm going to go out there and see what is in my yard, and protect my family. But then he's like, no, I don't need to do that. Yeah, he's like, no, I don't need to do that. And
that's kind of.
I said, I'm glad you didn't go out and shoot it.
Me too.
Terrible.
That would be awful.
And that's kind of like, it might never have been an option. It could be that thing has the kind of ability that you would, even the most violent person, no, and because of maybe some special power that they have there.
Yeah.
And again, that doesn't even have to, that can still have a scientific explanation too, like the roar of a lion can paralyze something, and it's not just the actual decibel level, but there's something that it throws out there, and maybe it can do that.
Trust me. This guy has gone outside barefoot in his underwear with a gun because I heard something outside the window. Okay, this guy's like, he's like super protector family. So for him to go,
but a 7-foot tall dark dog man. It's cool.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Just looking for a bone.
Maybe it'll be there tomorrow. And so, that to me seems like almost evidence that there's something that they can do that's reassuring, because that's not the natural inclination. It's kind of like the dog, not having any, being panicked and stuff. That's a 7-foot werewolf, that, for all you know.
Yeah.
But there's something that stops you, and you almost wonder if, well, maybe that's also one of the things that helps Bigfoot protect himself. It kind of makes it so that maybe you're like, it affects your cameras, and it affects you. And maybe it is a defense or trickery in the sense of the dog, kind of like the coyote trickster thing.
Yeah.
Especially in the Southwest, where coyote kind of teaches lessons through trickery and such. Maybe that's a little bit of the same thing.
Yeah.
Shelly, you're right in there with me and Katrina. We want to run up and hug the lion and hug the werewolf. Give them love. Let them know that they're loved.
Petting something I shouldn't. That's just me.
Yeah.
I run towards danger.
We run towards danger, exactly.
But it's funny, you hear a lot of stories where people say they see something and then they just can't explain why they didn't go examine it. Why didn't you go to that?
Yeah,
and I don't think it's that it just didn't occur to them. It's you don't want to look at this. Yeah, I don't think I want to look at that.
And honestly, my husky is very protective. She doesn't bark unless it's an extreme situation, but she will growl. She gets this rumble, and you feel it. Like if she's next to me and she gets protective, I feel this rumble in her chest, and it resonates through her whole body. And then she will do the husky speak, But she didn't do that. She did not feel. She was watching it, but she didn't feel threatened by it, according to the description.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that neither you nor the dog felt alarmed.
Right.
Well, you should. I mean, it was a 7-foot something. Even if it was a 7-foot teddy bear, you'd think it would be a little alarming.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're those people when we hear the doorbell, we duck, man. What are you expecting anyone? I'm not. Why are they here? Who are they? We're those people.
And it's a great contrast with Katrina's Bigfoot sighting, which was furtive and glancing, where the dog man, here I am.
Yep.
I have a friend that told me about his, and he said it's just leaning against a telephone pole and, just leaning there, and bold and brazen and confident, where Bigfoot is usually kind of, quiet and furtive. Yeah.
See me.
Yeah, and so your two sightings there both go right. They fall right into those categories. That's really cool comparison.
Yeah, your dog plays with spirit. My cat plays with fairies, as does Luna, Katrina's cat. Yes. I'll sit there and watch my cat, and I'll be like, what the heck are you playing with? And I can't see anything. There's not even a piece of lint.
Have you ever seen the videos of birds being up by like the garage ring cam videos, and it'll look like the bird isn't flapping its wings, and they'll just be like, and it's because they're flapping at the exact same rate that your camera is shooting. So that kind of goes back to what we were talking about, interdimensionality. If maybe that isn't the same way with like Bigfoot, we see it weird because of the frame rate that we're watching it.
Yeah, we get to see it, right.
And our eyes don't see it the same rate that our brain does.
Right.
Like you just said.
Yeah.
I said that earlier.
You got all those layers,
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yes. Good
we have
stuff.
Some interesting feedback tonight on the. Are you guys hearing it?
Oh no!
I'm hearing some serious feedback.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll have to go back after the show and check that out.
You're not hearing it.
I don't hear shit.
It's like there's a whole nother conversation going on. Maybe it's just me.
No, I hear something now. I think I hear you.
It's only on when you and I speak. It's not when Jason speaks.
Yeah.
I have the voice.
You do. It's
I also have the headphones. I also have the headphones on, so it's the audio isn't coming through my phone, and I think that's what kind of does the that audio feedback there.
Yeah, I'm on a laptop right now.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as sophisticated like you, Jason.
Yeah. I do own a pair of wireless earbuds, though. You know, that's as tech as I get.
I'm not a huge fan. I've used these twice now, and I think I'm gonna revert back to using the headphones with the microphone. I think that those work better for me.
I like those too.
But I kind of like being able to use my phone. And now when I host these shows, I like to use my computer because there's more options. And it seems like the options are easier to put up than when I'm on the phone.
And I'm getting old and I have bifocals and I can't read the stuff on the phone because it's so small. So even if I'm doing my live sales, I do on the phone, but I also have my laptop up so I can read the comments. Like I find it very interesting how the naked eye can't see what the camera picks up. Like when we find a house and get a bunch of orbs. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it going.
The orbs are something. I think are really, really cool. And those are something that make a lot of what I call like the flesh and blood science folks very uncomfortable when they witness those. Because there's not a lot of good explanation for those. And those are
I have
something
pictures
really
and videos of orbs.
That's supposed to be your spirit.
Yeah, I've been in the car doing a video chat because when I drive, that's when I video chat because I have time to actually talk to my friends. And I've been on trips to see you, Katrina, or on the way to New York to visit Nancy. And I'll be talking to Shelly and she'll be like, you know, there's like orbs all around you. And I'm like, nope, didn't know. Thanks for telling me. But yeah, she can see it in the camera. What I can't see with the naked eye.
Well, they say an orb is your spirit.
Oh, as you know,
Nancy
owns a home healthcare business, and so she has cameras set up in the houses to keep an eye on staff. And she has sent me videos of these houses, and they're not identifiable. I don't know whose house they are, by the way. And her own home, and there are just orbs everywhere. And I have people say, "Oh, that's just dust, dude." There is not that much dust in the world.
No.
It's not dust. And they're just all over the place. And fairies, oh my gosh, her property has so many fairies. And every time I go visit, we take offerings, and yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy what goes on there.
What do you offer? What do you get? What are your offerings?
It depends on the fairy. If I'm offering to the gnomes who take care of the garden, I give them rum because they like liquor. And they love liquor. So I give them rum. And I'll just put it in like a half of like a clamshell and put it out. And by morning it is gone. I also give them crystals. They love shiny things. So I always bring offerings of crystals for the fairies. And then, you know, when I give them offerings. Now, when I was in Kentucky with Shelly, another friend of ours, the fairies wanted milk. So she gave them milk, and you give yours milk as well. Milk, honey. There's a lot of different things, but they love shiny things that is a go-to.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
I have a video of fairies playing in my yard at night with the solar lights. My husband was taping it, and he could see it in the video, but couldn't see it with his naked eye. And he just kept watching it and filming it. And you can see these red lights just kind of dancing around, you know, before they finally just kind of zoomed away. They weren't like, I've never seen any fireflies that have like a red light.
No.
It wasn't flashing. It was constant. It was on bright red. It was kind of neat.
Wow.
So yeah. And I have pictures of orbs I took at night in my backyard. And I got like they're blue, green, pink, and they're pretty big. They're like this size.
Oh wow! My friend Jay Fouch over in Ohio. He's over in Coshocton, Ohio. He filmed a daylight orb, and it's fantastic. I'll post that because he sent me the video, and we got on Facebook, and I recorded him telling me about his experience, and we put it up there. And it's a fantastic daylight orb. And like when he's finished telling, he's like, I was ready to get out of there. I was done with that. He hates those things. He absolutely hates them because he's a very very gruff, confident guy, and but he hates them orbs, and they seem to love
we hate things we can't explain.
You know what they say in orbit? When you die, you got when you die, there's no body. That's your spirit.
That's your spirit. Yeah.
That's what an orb is.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Listen to this guy over here that doesn't believe. Listen to this guy. He's telling us. He's telling us. Thank you, baby. Thank you. I love this guy. I love this guy. He's been paying attention, people. He's been listening. For sure. 28 years later, he's finally listening. But yeah, it's funny because we all have like super duper active properties. I was in New York, Adirondack National Forest, where Nancy lives, and I went up there and I blessed, and we blessed the house, and we put a protection spell around it, and did the crystal grid and all that stuff. But we're out in the they have out in the back. There's like this big open area where they had a fire pit. So, and then all around it, there's, some solar lights and things that were right at the edge of the forest. So I'm standing there and I'm like being drawn to the edge, and I'm just staring into the woods, and I'm like, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, there's a watcher here. There is a spirit here. He is attached to the land. He's Native American. He was a scout of some sort. And he is just watching, and he's okay with what you've done. He's okay. And she's, it's like, he's not going to come in the house. He's not going to bother you. He's watching. He's watching over this land because this is his land. This is his people's land. And it was really crazy that I got this vision of him, and literally like in my head had this conversation of who he was, why he was there, and that it was okay. But there's just something about all of our homes that we are all experiencing some stuff.
That's kind of like we're like with the Dogman sighting earlier, where this is not, you don't need to worry about that. It could be the same thing. This is who I am.
Yeah. This is why I'm here. I'm just checking. I'm watching. I'm checking stuff out. You're good. These are not the droids you're looking for, Yeah, because he gave me such a sense of calm, It was very different, than some of the encounters that I've had with spirits. It was very comforting. Like, everything's fine. I'm just watching. You're good.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's my life. Crazy. Right, Karina? Our lives are.
That's awesome. That's awesome,
as you would say.
So you're not? Are you familiar with the Salt Fork area then too?
Yes, I am. Yes. I don't know if that is.
Yeah, my friend Tommy, he's gone camping out there quite a few times now, and that's a fantastic place for squatching out there.
Oh, nice.
And they have a very big they have a big national convention there once a year, and then like a couple of good regionals that they host there. And the Park Service, the Ohio Park Service, is very welcoming and to the squatching community, and helps them actually organize like group campouts and stuff up there.
Oh yeah, it brings in money. Of course, be welcoming.
Yeah, but places don't always do a good job,
Right.
and they do
there
a good job.
Are places that, especially in more rural areas, they're like, "Hey, y'all are a bunch of weirdos. Go away." I get it.
Yeah, and they really embrace it there, and they have quite a few organized campouts there they're pretty good and fun.
What am I missing? It was a very cool moment. I have had very dark moments in those woods, and I tell you, whatever it is. Oh yeah, Nancy had some dark shit, but that was at the other end of the property, wasn't it? That wasn't back where we were, where all this went on. She had a real shag nasty for a while.
Oh
yeah. But you know, when you're in an area where she's at, where there's a lot of Native American burial grounds, a lot of activity. She has a lot of fairies. You know, you're going to attract occasionally some more negative things.
Mm-hmm.
That's
now, going back to the burial mounds and pyramids and stuff that are in both of our areas, you kind of wonder. I kind of point to those being people of very giant stature, like almost like Nephilim and such, and the Allegheny may well have its name derived from a race of giants named the Allegheny, and you kind of maybe they were the inhabitants of these moundvilles and such. And again, we don't know much about them, and you wonder what kind of history and knowledge is hidden there.
Yeah, you know what? That's really bizarre. That I have never had anybody mention the Nephilims to me before, and just last week I had someone talking to me about that, and it wasn't a very positive conversation about them, you know.
They weren't good.
Yeah,
and
she said this person said to me that Himalayan salt is the flesh of giants and not to eat it. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah. It was like, what? Oh my God, Jason, you want some weird shit to read about? Look up the flesh pit in Texas. It is. I can't remember where in Texas. Just Google flesh pit, Texas.
I will.
It is the most. It's terrifying. It is terrifying because basically it is talking about there is a living organism that is like a cavern. And there was read the part about the National Park Service or some government agency that talked about the failure of the system. And this thing belched out alien life forms that like ate people. And it's real. It is actual. It really exists. And their solution to controlling this is not to destroy it because they want to study it, is to keep it pumped full of sedatives so that it doesn't. When this girl told me about this, I was like, you're so joking, right? You're not. I looked it up and I was like, oh my God. So you want to go down a rabbit hole? I believe it's Odessa, Texas. The flesh pit of Odessa, Texas. You all need to read about this. This should be on the news.
I will take a look at that. I will take a look. And I'm also interested in the Himalayan salt being flesh of giants.
I want to do some research on that as well.
There's a very prominent school. There's a kind of a prominent school of thought among Bigfooters that Bigfoot is perhaps Nephilim, you know. And you know, cursed to wander the ends of the earth alone. And you know, there's a lot of interesting dynamics there. Even the stereotypical Indians putting up their palm and saying, you know, how maybe it was based on showing that you've got 5 fingers and not 6 when you put up your hand and breathing.
Never heard that. Oh, Jason, you froze. At least in my screen.
Yeah, he's frozen mine.
At least it wasn't with your mouth open like it usually is with mine. Usually I have this awful
for a moment after you were talking about this hand.
As soon as you went into the hand thing, you froze. Somebody doesn't want you
They're
talking.
right. They're right. This is not the subject for you to talk about tonight.
Right. Well, they're saying, I've heard this, that the eclipse is supposed to wake up the Nephilim that are residing underneath in the cave systems.
I've heard some crazy shit about this. Like it's Y2K all over again, guys.
Yes, a little bit. That's interesting. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, and the government is going to make it cloudy so that
we can't see it, right?
We can't see it because it won't wake up the giants.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting. Because
if I end up calling in sick to work tomorrow, it's probably your guys' fault.
Because he's going down the rabbit hole tonight. I swear to God, Jason, when you read about this flesh pit in Odessa, Texas, you are going to be like, why was I not aware of this? I need to go check it out right now.
Oh, that's awesome. Give me more fodder for Cryptovania.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly. Oh, everybody's laughing about you missing work tomorrow.
Yep. On that note, I think I am running out of energy.
Yes, as are we. It is time to go. He's like, I got to get in that rabbit hole right now.
Thank you, Jason, for joining us today.
Thank you. Yes.
Come out this weekend. We're having a solar eclipse event at the Wildcat Mansion in Franklin. Jason will be there talking about Bigfoot and how it changed his life. Miss Karen is going to be there with several different classes on how to make abundance jars,
protection jars, crystal healing. And you, my beautiful friend, will be there doing tarot and teaching angel message classes and tarot classes. There's going to be sound therapy, drum circles,
life regression.
Yoga, Reiki, and this is all included in the price of the admission.
Yeah,
so please come out and see us.
Plus, it's a cool place.
It is the coolest.
It is a cool place.
It's so cool.
Yes. Very cool.
Oh, and
some of my awesome friends will be there, and they're going to get to meet Katrina. It's going to be so much fun.
And then plus two, a solar eclipse. Monday night, me and Wendy will be doing our new moon solar eclipse meditation. She'll be playing her beautiful singing bowls while I guide us through a ceremony. And I've just finished today writing a wonderful solar eclipse meditation. So
it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be in the
I'm going to meet Jason in person finally.
Yep.
Super exciting.
Excellent. Very exciting.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Jason, for being with us. Thank you, Ed, for sharing your Dogman story. That was awesome.
Thank you, Ed, for not being afraid.
Start being afraid, yes. And I look forward to seeing you guys in just a day and a half.
Yeah, coming up here.
Or so. Awesome. When are you going to be there, Saturday, Jason, or Sunday?
Both days.
Well, all right, awesome. I'll see you on Saturday. I will see you on Friday. And with that, I will say goodnight. Thank you all. Love you. And
thanks, everybody.
I see you at 10.